the potential of actually not doing anything about digitalization is, the loss of that could be $600-700 billion, euros rather, big numbers. You basically do not actually sit still in this game. If you're not innovating and actually capturing digitalization, you stand behind the game in an increasing way as other regional markets, the US or China or the typical go-to markets actually start to capture some of this value that sits on the table. Europe is obviously a number of issues and peculiarities, let's say, with respect to this region. One, we spoke briefly about it, the sort of risk capital, the venture capital, availability of capital to make these transactions happen, as well as what we call the digital intensity or lack of digital intensity within the European context. Digital intensity meaning what drives digitalization, driving a particular sector or industry. And in Europe, it's particularly low. To give an example, average Europe digital intensity, as we define that, would be less than 12%. Comparable to the US, this is greater than 18, maybe even up to 20%. The UK is, greater than 17 or 18%, while Germany is less than 12%. So there's peculiarities within the European context. And as we call it, the opportunity, as I just mentioned, some of the large numbers that are at stake here, is frankly too big to miss. So, the digitization metric is somehow understanding to what degree is digitalization or that transformation affecting the bottom line, let's say, of a company or a traditional incumbent. To put the numbers into further context from a European perspective, if you take just the laggards of the European context, so those that are not incumbents, that are not digitalizing, and they were just to double what we would call their digital intensity, their ability to actually digitalize, just to double those laggards, just to double their digital intensity, you'd end up with somewhere in the region of 2.5-3 trillion euros of additional value. To put that into perspective, that's a plus 1% GDP growth per year for the next 10 years for Europe. Significant numbers. And this really shows both the opportunity, too big to miss, as well as obviously the threat. And if Europe isn't doing anything about it, or the country within Europe isn't doing anything about it, or the incumbent corporate within that country is not doing anything about it, that lunch will be taken by other regions, other companies, other countries, and this is what's very important about understanding the European perspective.